Hello and welcome to my Forever Motion class here today for, I think we're at December 13th here. Today I'm going to do a little bit more of an advanced class. I had some email requests for some floor exercises because some Forever Motion groups do get down on the floor. So I'll do a couple exercises for that. Why don't we start marching out while I'm doing my explanation for the day. So we do have some groups that get down on the ground. They bring yoga mats to class, so participants oftentimes will bring their own yoga mat. And a few of the groups do get down on the ground and do some of their exercises on the floor. So I thought today that I would demonstrate some of those, some floor exercises that we can do to incorporate into our classes. I'll give you options though, so some of you might be tuning in today hoping for a more generic class. I will give you some other options if you don't want to get down on the ground. Oftentimes options, if say you don't want to get down on the ground for a push-up on the floor, you can do a push-up against the wall, for example. So I'll give you some of those options as well. I do have a chair here as well. So just a reminder, if you're doing this class today and you prefer to do it seated, you can do everything seated. So say for example, it's going to taps in front, then you could do this class seated and taps in front will look exactly the same. If you felt like you're just a little unsteady on your feet, you could stand behind your chair and do the whole entire class behind your chair. Or if you feel like you have pretty good balance, maybe you just have that chair nearby just in case you need it, but you generally aren't holding onto your chair for the class. So know you always have options in your Forever in Motion class, and I will frequently give you those as reminders. I think I already said my name is Kimberly, but just in case I didn't and you're not used to watching these videos, then my name is Kimberly and I'm the Senior Recreation Therapist with the Forever in Motion program. So let's change that up a little bit. Let's do a tap to the side. And I find our brain likes exercises where our arms and legs are moving in the same direction. And sometimes it's good to challenge our brain and have arms and legs not moving in the same direction. So let's give that a try. While my arms are going one direction, my legs are going the other direction. That's it. The purpose of our warm-up is to get the blood flowing, get those joints lubricated. I have a corny saying I've been saying for years, and my boys laugh at me every time I say it, but the saying is motion is lotion. So it's like we're putting some lotion into our joints to get them all ready for the upcoming workout. Good. Remember to take some nice deep breaths as we start our warm-up. And this will be a little bit more of a intermediate to advanced class today because we are getting down on the floor. That will make it a little bit more challenging, and because we are also going to do a little bit of incorporating of interval as well. So we will do some cardio intervals in between, so we'll get a really nice blend of classes today, but it will be a little bit more of an advanced workout today. Okay, let's tap back here. So tap back together, tap back together. And again, we can start with those legs. We can add those arms with it. So arms and legs moving. I kind of like my arms going forward as my legs come back. A little bit of a counterbalance for us. Good. And we have had a few requests for this interval. So Amanda and I were talking about it, and I think we are going to both do an interval maybe this week and next week. So if you're really liking those intervals, let us know. You know, we appreciate knowing what you like to see more of. We try to have done some seated classes, some half an hour classes when you just need a short workout. That's it. Good. Okay, last 4, 3, 2, 1, and march it out. Good, let's take a couple deep breaths. Let's bring those shoulders up towards the ears. And exhale and drop them back and down. Again, nice deep breath in. And exhale back and down. Again, nice deep breath in. I'm glad I left my shorter pants or my capris on here. It's hotter in this room than I thought it would be. I'm in one of our back rooms at the Community Health Center at Market Mall, but it is warm in here. So I might be sweating here not too long from now. Okay, so we're standing tall. Let's think about our posture. So let's think about belly button in towards spine, tuck the tailbone, lift the chest, and tuck the chin. So we've got really nice posture here. Let's do one more thing to get the blood flowing. Let's do a step touch. So we'll do step together, step together, step together. And again, arms in the same direction is the easiest for our brain, but I always like to challenge your brain. So feel free to stay with those arms if that's what feels most comfortable today. If you can use a little bit of a challenge, then let's see diamond arms with that today. Just a little bit harder on the brain here. I know you can always slow down that step touch. You could stay at that pace, or you could speed it up just a little bit. Nice. Okay, couple more, and then we should be all warmed up. And two more, and last time. Great. Okay, and shake it out. Okay, one more nice deep breath. Reset those shoulders back and down. One more time. And then we'll just kind of bring that heart rate down just a little bit. That was an extremely long warm up. That was 8 to 9 minutes here. We'll gradually cool that body down just a bit. But knowing that we're going to put some cardio intervals into this, we don't want to bring that heart rate totally down. It will stay up a little bit higher for this class today. Okay, let's take one more nice deep breath in. Inhale the way up. And exhale. And last time. Good, very nice. Okay, keep those feet moving just a little bit. If you feel like your heart rate is still a little high. If you feel like your heart rate has come down a bit, then feel free to slow down or stop your feet. So as we normally do, we're going to work from big muscle groups to small muscle groups. And we're going to work 2 back muscles to every 1 chest. So let's start with the big muscles in our back. And for this, we're going to do our row. For a second there, I thought my band was ripped in half. So we're going to start with our band on the floor. Let's stand with our feet on the band here like this. And you can always do this one-sided or 2. I'm going to choose to do both sides at once. I'm going to roll my shoulders up, back, and down. I'm going to hinge forward at the hips. And then from here, I'm going to bring my hands to my hips and my hands back down to my knees. I could always do this seated as well. You always have that option. I just wouldn't have to lean forward. I could sit up nice and tall in my chair, and my legs would be straight out in front. So just a quick reminder for that. I'd be sitting tall, and then I'd bring my hands to my hips. Sorry, you can only see half of me right now, but you get the idea. I can always do these exact same things in seated at any time. So we're probably about 8 or 9 here. I aim for somewhere between 10 to 12. But more important than the number of repetitions is that we're going to muscle fatigue. So you should feel like you're going to the point where you almost feel like you can't quite do one more. Let's try for 2 more of those. And last one. Good. Okay, and release that. Okay, so that was our big back muscles. So let's do a cardio interval here. So let's go wide, wide, narrow, narrow. So we always have options to keep this a little bit slower. We could go a little faster if we'd like. And then we also have the option just for a little bit of a hop or a little bit of impact in between, and then get those arms going as well. So again, slow it down, keep it low impact, speed it up, or add a little bit of a hop to that as well. So lots of options for you to choose from. And maybe today you're not going for gold, But maybe you'd like to do the seated, that would be just fine too. You know, you always have options. Okay, 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Good. So our cardio intervals will be approximately 30 seconds long, give or take. So we're going to go down to the floor here for our chest work. So you always have options. You can always do a push-up on the wall. I'm going to show you options on the floor. My hands are going to be at least the width of my mat. So at least the width of my mat, even just a little bit wider. Here's my first option, is I can be on tabletop position. So on my hands and knees. So really then I'm just lifting up my upper body weight. So that's a little bit easier. If I want it a little bit harder, I can extend my arms a little further. I can bend my knees. Here is my level 2 on my knees here. Or level 3 on your toes. Okay, so you have 3 levels of intensity there. Feel free to try any of those 3. Aim for 10 to 12. And for those of you who just would really like that wall option, no, you can choose that. Hands a little wider on the wall. The further your feet are away from the wall, the harder it is. And you could do that push-up on the wall instead. Okay? You could also do a little bit of a fall into the wall if you'd like, just to increase the intensity a bit. Okay, how are you doing with those push-ups on the floor? Those of you that are on the floor, can we see 3 more? Again, you're aiming for 10 to 12, but more important is that muscle fatigue. And let's see 2 more, and last one. Great. Okay, let's come on back up. Really good to practice getting up and down off the floor. I know for me, I would like one day when I have grandchildren to be able to get up and down off the floor to be able to play with them. So if that's something that you're hoping to be able to do, then practicing getting up and down off the floor is important. Maybe for the next one, I'll actually kind of show you how I get up or options to get up, so that if you're not used to getting up and down on the floor, that's an option. I would suggest always having a sturdy chair nearby, and maybe making someone else's home, share someone else's home, just in case you run into trouble getting up off the floor, then you could have a little bit of help. Okay, here's our 30-second interval here. And I didn't grab a drink between those 2 sets, but you can always grab a quick drink of water at any time. I'll maybe have one after this one. Feel free to speed it up if you'd like to work a little harder, or a little bit of a hop for the last 4 seconds. 3, 2, and last one. Okay, shake it out, grab yourself a quick drink. Moving on to our big upper body exercise. And I should say upper body back exercise. So we're going to take our band and we're going to have it in front. And I like every once in a while to go to one side or the other of my band. Just if we're always using the middle part, we probably use that or fatigue that part faster. So sometimes it's good to use the side. I'm going to bring my elbows out to the side. And I've got my camera at a good angle today that you can see that the band is about chest height or armpit height. And my elbows are just slightly lower than my shoulders. So that's where we should be. So we really shouldn't be hand at chin height. We really shouldn't be hands at belly button height. That changes it to be rotator cuff when we do that. So really our band's chest height. Bring those elbows together in the back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and then release. Now let's breathe at the same time here. Exhale as we squeeze that band. Inhale as we release. This is to strengthen our upper back muscles. This one helps us to reduce any kyphosis we're starting to develop in the spine. So if we work on strengthening those upper back muscles, then we should be able to keep those shoulders back and down. Now let's try 3 more. And 2. And last one. Good. Okay, let's release that. Let's do our cardio interval. So this one will be a low impact jumping jack. So I'm gonna have alternating which foot comes out to the side, arms coming out to the side. And this is our low impact option. I could speed it up just to make it a little bit more intense, or we could add just a little bit of a hop to that as well as an option. Good. Always remembering to listen to your body. How are you feeling? Give yourself a number between 1 to 10, how you're feeling. You should be probably starting to get a little bit warm, maybe starting to get a little sweaty, and possibly starting to breathe a little bit heavier. Those are all good signs. If we are feeling like we're lightheaded and dizzy, we're sweating profusely, we start getting really pale, those are things that indications that maybe we need to cut back a little bit, maybe take it a little bit easier. Okay, and 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice work. Okay, give that a shake. Maybe give those shoulders just a little bit of a roll. Great job. Okay, let's work on some leg exercises again. So let's try, let's try a curtsy squat. I'm gonna give you the option to go narrow or wide. So this one here, I would make sure that you have your chair for support. So standing behind your chair with your hands either on your chair or fingertips. You have the option between our regular squat, so hips, feet about hip width or shoulder width apart, okay? Or if you'd like a bit of a challenge, and I'd suggest again have that chair with you, you could step 1 foot behind and come back. Let's do that same foot behind, cross behind and back up. So this is called a curtsy squat, because imagine the queen has just come to town, and then you're gonna do a little bit of a curtsy for the queen. Great. I've got my chair there for support in case I need it. If this is giving you any pressure on hips, knees, ankles, then feel free to stay with that regular squat down the center. That's it. Good. Otherwise, if you'd like a little bit of a challenge, step back and together. Step back and together. Very nice. Okay, a few more. When I was about, I think I was about 8 or 9, the queen came to the Saskatoon X, and I got a picture of her walking by us. So I've been in the queen's presence before. Good. Okay, last time. Okay. What we do on one side, we need to do on the other side. So we've done that on one side. Keep in mind which side you've done. Let's do a little bit of interval in between here again. Let's do a step touch. So let's step together. Good. Now again, you can take this a little easier. Step touch, holding the chair, maybe sitting on your chair. Maybe you'd like to work a little harder. Maybe you're going to take that to a little bit bigger step touch, adding some arms. And maybe you'd like to add just a teeny bit of a hop to that. So adding a little bit of intensity would be speeding it up or adding some impact, which are always options. Four, 3, 2, 1, and march it out. Okay, this is probably a good time to have another drink before we do that other side. Okay, let's do the other side. Again, having that chair nearby. Option to just do that regular squat again. This will be 2 sets of legs, so option to just do that squat. Or if you'd like, our curtsy squat. That's it. So one leg is coming behind. Great. And you can have your arms come out to the side there. You could have that chair for just a little bit of support. This should almost feel a little bit like the leg in the front might be working just a little bit harder than the leg in the back. The The leg in the back kind of just balances us, but that leg in the front does a lot of the work there. That's it. And always making sure you're safe, making sure you have that chair there in case you feel a little unsteady. Good. Let's see 3 more here. And 2 more. And last one. Good. Okay. Next cardio interval. Let's do a little bit of cross-country ski. So opposite arm, opposite leg, reaching out in front. Again, this can be done seated if you're feeling like you need a little bit of a break here. You can do this a little slower if you'd like, or you can speed it up just a bit for a little bit more intensity. Or you want a little bit of impact. We know that impact is good for our bones. We could do a little switch in the spot with that. And again, slowing this down or speeding it up, depending on what you want to do with your intensity level today. Good. Again, option to keep it low impact if you prefer. And 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice work. Okay, and march it out. Great work, everybody. That was 2 sets of legs that we got through there. We gave our upper body just a little bit of a break. I know our shoulders start to feel that a little bit once we've done a couple sets of back and chest. So let's step on our band. I'm going to step on it just with 1 foot, just because this one is a little bit harder one. So I'm going to give you some options for this, just so that we have a little bit more band to the side. If I had weights here today, so you might have weights at home, I would normally use weights for this one here. So let's roll our shoulders back and down. Let's bring our arms out to the side and then slowly lower arms. So I would normally use weights for this because the further that my arms get away from the side, you can see my band is really being stretched to its max. So the further the arms are out to the side, the harder, the more challenging this exercise is. So if this is just a little bit too much for you, know that you could always just drop one side, give a little bit more band on one side, and just do one side at a time as an option. You could choose to do one side and then the other side. Or you could do weights that will be, 3 pounds at the bottom and 3 pounds at the top. And that's a great option as well. And let's try for 3 more. Stopping if you've had enough. 2 more. And last one. Good. Okay, let's release that. Put that band down. Let's do a march in the spot this time as our cardio interval. So you could keep this, again, lower pace to take it a little bit easier. You could speed up both arms and legs to make this a little harder. Or you could go in just a little bit of impact to almost like a little mini jog there if you'd like. And always have the option to sit if you prefer, if you need a bit of a break to do this one. And the more you lift the knees, the harder you're going to be working. So that's another option. And if you're just tuning in, you can always take this to low impact too. And 4, 3, 2, 1, and shake it out. Okay, good time for a little reset and to grab a quick drink here as well. Okay, let's move on to triceps. So I'm trying to give you some floor options if you like. This was one that you could do on the wall as well. Very similar to that chest push-up that we did on the wall. So if we're gonna do a tricep, chest arms were coming out nice and wide out to the side. For triceps, your hands would only be shoulder width apart. And again, the closer the legs are to the wall, the easier it is. The further your feet are away from the wall, the harder it is. So you could do triceps on the wall like this if you'd like. You could add a little bit of a fall into the wall. Can you see me from this side? So I could add a little bit of a fall into the wall, where I fall into the wall and push my hands off the wall. I see I'm going off the camera just a little bit, but this gives you the idea. I can fall into the wall and push off if I'd like, just to make it a little bit harder. Those of you that feel comfortable getting down on the ground, and again, make sure you have a sturdy chair nearby just in case, so that you don't run into any problems getting up afterwards. But if you feel comfortable getting down, I usually get down, I just take one step forward, drop to one knee. If you need that chair nearby, you can have that chair. I'm going to drop down to the other knee. My knees are pretty good still, but know that if your knees aren't great, maybe you want to stay with that, just that wall push-up. So just like the chest push-up, the triceps the same, in that I'll bring my hands underneath the shoulders, so tabletop position as option 1. For the chest, we had those hands wider, at least the width of our mat, right? So for triceps, our hands are going to be nice and close. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a turn to my elbows, so my elbows can actually come back and then come all the way up. So rather than my elbows coming out to the side, my elbows are going to come back. And this would be our tabletop version. Okay. If I want to try on my knees, I can drop down to my knees, have my arms out, and I'm going to come straight down and straight up. Not sure if that chair is in the way. Come straight down and straight up. So if you're ready to try that, give that a try. And then you have the option of a full tricep push-up. This one's hard though, so that one might not be for you today here, but maybe you're able to try that tabletop position one, or that option on your knees. Good. Okay, keep going. I'm just going to show you from this angle here. My hands are nice and narrow here, and my elbows come back, versus for chest, my hands were a little bit wider, and my elbows come down and make a 90-degree angle when I come down and up. Good. Okay, can we try 3 more? Whether you're on the wall or on the floor. 2 more. And last time. Good. Okay. Coming back up, I mentioned last time, we'll talk about that just a little bit. I might want to have a sturdy chair nearby. I come onto my knees, and I realize not all of us can get on our knees like I was just doing. I might come on one knee or the other knee, have that sturdy near chair nearby, and I'm going to push up. And maybe I want to swing around just to take a breather on my chair for a moment or two after that. That's what we would do especially if we had a fall. We would swing around and come back and sit in our chair. I do find getting up and down off the floor very important for us, and important for us to practice if we are still doing that with our grandkids or great-grandkids. So let's take our band now. Let's do some biceps. So we're going to take our band. I'm going to step on it. I'm going to step on it this time with both feet. So that will give me less band on either side, so making it harder. If your band is too tight, then you can always stand on it with just one foot. I'm going to roll my shoulders back and down, have good set position, take a nice deep breath in, and on my exhale, bring my hands up towards my shoulders and slowly lower back down. So we're remembering to breathe. I would suggest, if you're able to do as many exercises as you can in standing, just because we sit so much of our day. But know that if you are getting tired, you need that break, feel free to sit down and do the same thing in seated position instead. So I told you earlier that I met the Queen. So that's one of my famous people that I've ever met. I'm trying to think of stuff to pass the time since I don't have you to talk in person to me here. The other famous person that I met, and I actually had supper with, here, we'll stay tuned here. Stay tuned in here. We're gonna move on to the next exercise and I'll tell you in a moment. Okay, we're gonna take that band out from underneath our feet. Let's do a cardio interval there. Let's do this time here a little polka. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Polka is a little bit higher impact there, so you got a little bit impact, but you could always take it a little bit lower to a step 1, 2, 3, step 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's do our polka. Okay, so the famous person that I had supper with was, I was at the University of Manitoba. I was part of the student council, and we had an event where we had quite a few big name speakers come, and I was on the committee, so I was helping out. And we had Ernie Coombs come, who is also known as Mr. Dress Up. So I had supper, him and 8 of us on the planning committee had supper with Mr. Dress Up, which is kind of cool. So how about for today, if you're watching this class, if there's somebody that you've met that's kind of famous, then put in the chat who you met that is kind of famous. I'd love to hear who you've met. Okay, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, handshake out. Okay, and I can't count, you've gone to a certain concert or whatever. That doesn't quite count. You have to have had maybe a conversation with that person. But I guess the Queen doesn't really count then, does it, for me? Because I didn't actually talk to the Queen. Okay, Ernie Coombs will be mine. Okay, what are we on? Can we do another leg exercise? Let's do, I really like doing calves and tibialis anterior, just because it's so important for working on ankle mobility, ankle strength, especially as we start getting into more slipperier conditions. So again, you always have that chair for an option. You could be doing the same thing seated. You could be hanging onto the back of the chair. Option 1, you need that chair for support. Option 2, just your fingertips. And option 3, your hands are just hovering over. I'm just gonna have my fingertips on today. I'm gonna rock up onto my tippy toes, working my calf muscles, and ever so slowly, I'm gonna slowly rock back onto my toe, on my heels, lifting my toes. That's when you sometimes want your fingertips on that chair, because we tend to start to want to rock back. And I would say if you find that when you do that on occasion, you take a step back, I would say that that's a good thing, because say for example here, I go a little bit further back, I have to take that step back. That's our balance reaction kicking in. So that's our body training ourselves to automatically take that step back, to counterbalance, to protect ourselves from that fall. And I think that's actually good for us to practice as well in a safe environment. So that maybe on the weekend I'm washing my windows, I fall off balance a little bit, then I can react and step forward or back or wherever I need to. Or you're walking outside, hit a little bit of a slippery patch, you need to catch yourself, well then your foot's going to step out to the side to catch yourself. So it's okay if you find you need to take a little step forward or a little step back when you're doing these exercises. If you play it safe and never challenge your balance, then you're not going to improve your balance. Great. Oh, this feels good, doesn't it? Really working on that ankle strength and that ankle mobility. Okay, 2 more. And last time. Okay, give that a little bit of a shake. Let's do a few balance exercises here now. So let's hold on to our chair, again for support just in case we need it. You know, holding on if you need it, fingertips or hands hovering. Let's do our walk, a tandem walk. So I'm gonna have one foot come in front of the other. I've got my chair there just in case I ever feel like I need it. And it's almost gonna be like we're walking a tightrope. And come on, take it back. Great. Good. And if this is just a little bit too hard for you, you can take those feet just a little further apart, whether it's they're not 1 foot in front of the other, they're a little spaced, or maybe you don't just quite touch, back toe to front heel. So maybe you have a little bit of a space in that respect. Okay, and last time. Good. Okay, give that a little bit of a shake. Okay, I tend to do balance exercises that we're working our abductors or outer thighs, or the back side of our body or glutes. So let's do one for the back side of the body this time. I'm gonna have my chair there for support just in case I need it. I'm gonna take one leg back. Now, I normally would have my chair in front of me here. I don't, so that you can see me. So maybe keep one hand on the chair. I'm gonna lift up opposite arm as I lift up that leg. And then bring those hands back down. You can have those hands on the chair or just hovering. Lift up one leg and the other arm. And switch sides. And we're challenging your balance here, so it's okay if you are wobbling just a little bit. In one of my yoga classes I teach, I talk about our tree pose, and that sometimes trees blow in the wind, so it's okay if we're rocking a little bit or swaying a little bit. That's it. Good. And other side. And if you're watching my ankle, I'm making microscopic adjustments, just teeny wiggles one side or the other to adjust, to hold my balance. And that's what we're wanting, to work on those ligaments and tendons on either side of that ankle to strengthen those ankle muscles. Okay, 2 more. And last time. Great. Okay, give that a shake. I'm gonna move to the floor for some of our ab exercises. Know that if you are following along and you really don't want to get down on the ground for some of these, know that you can come to your chair. We've done lots of these in class before, where you're sitting in your chair, hands on your thighs, crossed or behind the head, and then you're gonna just slowly lean back and then come back up. So if you'd like, feel free to do your ab exercises in your chair if you're not up for some of these on the floor. Okay, those of you that are up for coming down to the floor, actually let's grab a drink before we come all the way down, because we'll stay down for a little while here now. Okay, let's do a few floor exercises. Okay, so we're gonna get down on the ground. Again, feel free to use a chair to help you get down. Otherwise, I'm using my knee for support. And I'm gonna come all the way down. When I do core work on the floor, I like to do sunny side up. We're going sideways and sunny side down. So I like to make sure that we're working front, side, and back of the core, which is all important. So let's start with a prone position. So we're going to start face down here. I'm going to come to that tabletop position that I talked to you about before when we did some of our push-ups and tricep push-ups and regular push-ups. I like going on my knuckles just a little bit easier on my wrists, but feel free to have your hands down. Or another tip that I kind of like is I'll take my yoga mat. I have 2 yoga mats here, just a little bit more padding under my knees. But I'll sometimes roll up my yoga mat, and then I'll have my palm of my hand on the yoga mat, my fingers hanging off the end, and that just takes a little bit of pressure off my wrists as well. So those are some really good ways to be on the mat. So I'm going to start in my tabletop position. I am going to pull my belly button to supine. I'm going to tuck my tailbone under a bit, not rounding my spine, but making sure I have a nice neutral spine. I'm going to extend one arm out, lifting that arm up, maintaining that turned on core at the same time. So I can start with just arms. I could add legs in there. So I could, again, engage my core, take one leg back, and then come straight down. I could alternate to the other side. And then, if you'd like a little bit of a challenge, you can do arms and legs. So I'm going to have my hands again directly under my shoulders. Think of your vision. I'm looking at you sometimes, but try when you're done looking at me to look just ahead of your arms or your hands, so that it's like your hands are the base of a triangle and your vision is the top of your triangle. So here's my hands. I would be looking right there to keep my head and neck in line with my spine. So it looks like this. If I'm going to try both. And I'm going to do this slow and controlled. Slower and more controlled is always harder than fast. So if you're looking at me from the side, it should look like I'm just looking just in front of my hands. If I start looking down underneath my body, you can see that my posture really goes with that, right? I'm rounding my back, I'm looking underneath. Whereas when I'm looking in front, I've got a nice long neutral spine. Okay, let's see 2 more if you're able to. You can stop sooner if you've had enough. Okay, let's give that just a little bit of a shake here. I'm going to uncurl my mat. Moving on to obliques along the side here. If you're doing this one seated, and I kind of gave you just a regular one the first time. If you're doing this one seated, you would do this one where we're reaching to the side and lifting one hip up. That would be working our obliques along the side. So that's a great option if you'd like. I'm going to roll over onto my side here for this next one. And this is a side plank. So we're going to be working our obliques on the bottom side. So we have options here. I'm going to come down to one elbow, double up your mat if that's a little bit easier on the elbow. I'm going to have my flat palm on the floor, and I'm going to raise up to my knees. So this would be our level 1 on our knees. I could extend one foot, and then that would be just a little bit harder. Or I could extend both feet and be on both feet. So you have 3 options there. I'm going to stay with that easy one with you today here, just for our first time working with some floor exercises. But no, you could really quickly straighten that top leg if you want to work a little harder. You can keep your hand on your hip, or you can lift that arm up And again, thinking about working this underside. So lift up there, working those obliques on one side. Make sure you're still breathing. Just one more breath. Good. And lower back down. Let's switch over to the other side. And again, you can double up your mat under that elbow. If you're doing these seated, then make sure you switch to be lifting the other side up here. So let's start on our knees. Flat hand on the mat. Hand can be hip or hand can extend up. And then you have the option to straighten that top leg if you'd like a little bit more of a challenge. And again, this time we're working the underside on the other side here. So lift up, don't let that hip sag. Good, and slowly lower back down. Great job. Okay, let's go all the way down to our back here. So we've worked with our face down to the side, and now let's try face up. I don't do a lot of crunches or sit-ups with older adults, especially if you have osteoporosis. Then we don't want to pull on that head and neck any more than we really need to. So that would just be the one thing that I'm going to suggest. We're going to do today what's called a dead bug. So it's very similar to the, I didn't call it that, bird dog, where we're facing the other way. But we're going to lay down on the ground. We're going to extend our arms up. I'm going to engage my core. So I'm going to imagine that I've just put a nice fresh piece of bread underneath my back. My friends and neighbors in Claudette, we talk about Dukabor bread a lot. So imagine you've just put a nice fresh slice of Dukabor bread, but it doesn't matter what kind, underneath your back. I just don't want you to flatten the back and flatten that piece of bread. So imagine that piece of bread between your back. I want you to turn on your core, so a little bit of a pelvic tilt, ribs and hips together, and imagine that you just tighten those abs. And then we're going to lift our arms up, and then we could do just like we did before that first core exercise. I could just extend the arms above the head while I'm keeping that core engaged. Or I could place my hands by my thighs. I could lift my legs up, and then one leg at a time. Straighten those legs out to the side and back up. Again, a little easier. I could bend my knees and tap a toe down, and then as I feel like I want to work a little bit harder, I could gradually straighten those legs just a little bit and then tap a toe. Again, all making sure that I've got that slight bend to my back or that slight arch to my back, but my core is engaged, my core is turned on. Or as an option, let's give that a little bit of a break here for a moment. Whew. Okay, lift those legs, lift those arms. Pull that belly button to spine. Don't flatten the back. Keep that slight arch, but turn on the core. And then we can do opposite arm, opposite leg. And this is, if you've ever heard of dead bug, this is our dead bug. But then I've had groups tell me, well, not technically a dead bug if we're still moving a bit, right? So maybe it's not a good name for this exercise. How about a bug stuck on their back? That would be a better name for this one. Good. And again, bend those knees as much as you need to make it a little bit easier. Or straighten those legs to make it just a little harder. And two more. And last time. Good. Okay. And release that. Let's just give ourselves a moment to catch our breath. Nice work. Now I'm going to do my stretches on the ground. I was asked to do some floor exercises, and I would consider some of my stretches that I might do floor as well. So I'm going to lift up one leg. I'm going to bring that leg in towards the body, and I'm going to take my hand and just gently pull that leg in towards the body, getting a nice stretch all along the back of the leg. And then if you wanted to, I wonder if I can grab my band from here. I would normally do this with a yoga strap, but one of my favorite stretches for the back of my leg, I take my yoga strap and then I bring that back. That is just lovely. This allows the back of my leg to relax completely. Get a nice stretch through my calf muscle, through my hamstring. I might just stay here all afternoon. This feels so good. Good, and release that. Let's go to, I'll cross that leg over the bent leg, and I'm going to lift this leg up. So this is our laying down figure four. We do this one in seated. So imagine I'm sitting in a chair, my foot is on the floor, I've got my leg crossed, and then we tend to hinge forward just a little bit. So this is our figure four or our hip opener stretch, but I just happen to be doing it laying down instead. And again, we're taking between 3 to 5 breaths as we're holding our stretches, allowing those muscles to relax completely. Good, and release that. Let's switch sides. So this time here, other leg up, bring it in towards the body. You can just hold that leg in, or as I mentioned, one of my favorite things is to use a strap or your band and get a nice stretch to the back of the leg. Taking between 3 to 5 breaths, allow those muscles to relax. And release that. Isn't that just a really nice stretch? Okay, cross one leg over the other, bring it up. Thread the hand behind the thigh, and then just gently pull the knees into the chest. And again, if you're doing this seated, just cross your leg, getting a nice stretch to the hip. We do this one quite often. At the end is our hip opener stretch. And release that. Let's roll over onto our side. I'm going to rest my head on my arm so that I'm not putting any extra pressure on my neck. This puts a lot of pressure on my neck. So I'm going to rest my head on my arm. I'm going to grasp onto my top leg, getting a nice stretch through the hip flexor, through the quadricep. I'm going to really think about pulling my hip forward while I bring my knee back. You could be doing the exact same thing standing right now or seated in your chair. So if you're doing it standing, you'll look just like this, but standing, maybe grabbing onto your pant leg if you can't quite reach that ankle. And then seated, we would do that hip flexor stretch where we swivel in our chair and we take one leg back. So that is an option if you prefer to do that seated. This is one I like to do in bed, or you could do this in floor. Just getting a nice stretch through the front of the thigh. This is one of the tightest muscles in the body, is our hip flexors, our iliopsoas, and down into our quadriceps. So good to stretch out and have a nice long stretch. Let's release that. Let's switch sides. Again, resting that head on our arms. You might want to bend that bottom leg so you don't feel like you're going to fall forward. Grasp onto the ankle or foot or pant leg or socks if that's easier to reach. And then bring the knee back and hip forward. And release that. Okay, gradually roll yourself up to a seated position. Walk those hands up. If it's easier to roll onto your front, I know my mom has bad knees, so what she likes to do to get up, I'll show you that technique. So she doesn't go onto her knees, she'll kind of roll over onto the front, and then she'll walk the hands back, and then walk those hands up the body here just a bit. So that's an option if you find your knees just aren't good enough to maybe come all the way down onto your knees. That would be a really good option too. Okay, let's do a little bit of an upper body stretch here to wrap up, and then we're almost done. One arm across the front here, and let's stretch out through the shoulder. Oh, such a nice way to spend the day. So whether you're joining me here in the afternoon here, or maybe you're watching this at a later date and time, know that you can always watch this any time of the day. We're happy you join us. Take that same arm up and back. Pat yourself on the back for a great tricep stretch today. Great workout. Press back on the arm to stretch that tricep. And release that. Other arm across the front, stretch out through the other side. Make sure that we're not bringing that shoulder up towards the chin. Keep that shoulder down as we give a nice stretch through the side. Good. Take that same arm back for a tricep stretch. Again, pat yourself on the back for a great job today. And give that a gentle push on the back of the arm. You can always bring that arm up and over. Just make sure you're not pulling on the head or neck at the same time. And finally, open up through the chest, stretch out through the front of the body. Keep those shoulders low and down. Maybe look up just slightly. Nice stretch through the front of the body. Again, that chest is another really, really tight muscle group, so it's good to give that a stretch. Bring those hands behind the back, lift the chest, open up through the front of the body. Give those shoulders one more time, nice big up, back, and down. Reset the shoulders so that we're walking away with shoulders back and down, chest is lifted, not rounded shoulders. One more deep breath in. Great job, everybody. So glad some of you joined me live today. Hope some of you are joining me at a later date. And again, if you want to put in the comments section just something fun for today. Who is somebody that you've met that is famous? So I had mentioned earlier, I saw the Queen walk by, and I have a picture of the Queen walking by when I was about 8 or 9. And then I had supper with Ernie Coombs, Mr. Dress Up. So put in your comments in the comment section if you've ever met somebody famous. I'd love to hear, and let's have a little fun. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great rest of the day, and I hope to see you again next time. Take care for now.